Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's show. I'm Mike Lockhart, head honcho over here at Medaverse Studio, the wearer of many hats, like how my LinkedIn profile says. And welcome to our weekly show over here. Yep, and I am also the king of winging it every freaking episode. 147 episodes, and I've still yet to come up with a proper intro. Anyway, hey, welcome to the show. For those of you new who have never tuned in before and somehow stumbled across this, this is a weekly show we do here over at Medaverse Studios to give you guys an idea of what's been going on and pretty much ask us questions and just kind of chit chat and watch as we develop our next game, Project Artificial Legacy. And to recap what's been going on, the last couple months, we're getting ready to go on to month 3. We've been doing a focus more on the artwork end of things for the game, mainly because a lot of the stuff that we're currently working on the actual game itself is a lot of back-end stuff, and it is extremely boring for live broadcasts. So I've decided, instead of boring you guys to death while I try to figure out things to do with blueprints and stuff like that, that it would be much easier for me to just switch gears and do the artwork for this game, which is actually a big thing because right now we've been trying to do some elements for the future games for this series, and it has been kind of difficult coming up with designs for the characters, just some kind of winging it. So we decided what better thing to do than to actually sit down and draw out how our characters are going to look like in each iteration of the game. So we did early on, we started doing stuff with doing the 3D models for an N64/PlayStation game, and really ran into a wall when it came to designing our main character, where she was not looking right. She didn't have the correct look and feel for how we want our character to look. So I decided to take a step back and realize, you know what, this is not the right way to do it. And we switched gears. We did one of the villains instead for the remainder of March. Yeah, March. Wow, holy cow! And I think we did a little bit into April too. But we focused on working the villain. The villain turned out great because we had an idea how he was going to look like, because the villain is actually staying consistent throughout the whole series, or at least one of the villains that we did is. But our main character ages throughout the 4 games, and so when we were trying to develop the N64 version, she's a teenager, young teenager. She came out looking a lot more like an adult, and this was not how we wanted. And also, we were going down more of a too realistic path. One of the elements we really decided was that we definitely wanted to have more of a anime look and feel to the game. So the way she was turning out was very not like that. And so last week we decided to start playing around with trying to design our main character. And do I have the original? I was working on her, and where is it? Where is the file? Much easier to look at this way. Let's sprite template. Is this it? So yeah, this was what we were working on previously, kind of developing ideas, kind of figuring out how she was going to look. Got a lot of sketching on her, figuring out eye placement. Spent a long time last week working just on her eyes alone, and I think it came out pretty nice. But I started running into another problem where I wasn't too happy with how she was turning out. We got pretty far on here, and I was liking where she was going, but again, like, I don't know, something was off, and so press pause on this, and I started from scratch. I started with day one. This is what our hero looks like in the very first game. And I actually spent pretty much a whole week between this and world development writing. I was able to kind of sketch this out and really kind of hammer out how I wanted her to look. Had a lot of fun developing this character. Still kind of tweaking with the eyes and stuff. Yes, he's working on a bunch of different things. Kind of trying to figure out how I wanted her positioned and stuff. And I mean, this is where I've kind of landed her. We're going to continue working on this. I want to finish this up, kind of finish designing her. Because, I mean, it's still very rough on how she's looking. But this is actually really, really helpful because, I mean, it's been, I have this vision of what she's going to look like in this game, but I need to really kind of put pen to paper on it, so to speak. Well, literally, honestly. So, yeah, we're going to keep working on this. Go over some of the design elements we're doing with her. I mean, going from, do we have the sprite? Where is our sprite? Come on. You gonna make it easy on me? No, you're not gonna make it easy on me, are you? Which one is the correct one? So going from this to this, I mean, it's a big jump. But she's coming along really nicely. Actually, should bring this file in so we can get the proper colors we're using for her outfit. But yeah, so for the next, at least into May also at this point, maybe even June, we're going to continue doing the artwork end of stuff. On the development end of it, I've been continuing to push through. I've gotten, I've been working on teleportation between when you enter the dungeon door going into the actual dungeon itself. We're running into some issues where you make the jump and it automatically sends you back. Actually, no, you made the jump, but when you tried to exit, it just kept looping you back into the spawn point in the dungeon itself. So there's a bug there somewhere that I'm trying to narrow down. I'm at the point now where I've gotten it so you can go back and forth, but it really badly hiccups. It like does a lot of jittering, and I got to figure out a way to smooth that out. The pushing mechanic is coming along pretty nicely. Running into a couple little bugs right now, mainly the lack of being able to kind of control it yourself. Once you start pushing, it just pushes until you disengage. It doesn't allow you to kind of control the pushing, which is not a huge issue because it could work well. It could work because, I mean, you didn't have a ton of control on the NES, so the idea of maybe you just kind of pushing it one way till it's done pushing is a very feasible mechanic for the NES era. So we might just leave it as is, but the problem I have with that though is further down the road with the Super Nintendo version and possibly future versions, because we'll be definitely recycling code in all iterations of this game, because pushing mechanic is a pushing mechanic no matter what, really. Just depends on what it's attached to. And if we're having an issue where, yeah, you start pushing and you're stuck, you're just pushing it one way until you disengage, that definitely seems to be an issue there. So I'm going to continue working on bugs on that. But this week was really busy, and when I was getting down to my office late at night, it was like, okay, I got 2 hours to work on stuff. This is not the time to be trying to go nose diving into code. So I was focusing on the artwork end of it instead, or writing. And I've been doing quite a bit of writing recently. I've been focusing more on the lore behind magic in this universe, since we're dealing heavily with the idea that, okay, humans don't have the ability to use magic anymore in this universe. What are the restrictions? How does magic work in this universe? Kind of like just kind of like putting the rules in play, because I mean, we don't want magic just to be kind of like a MacGuffin, or a I'm totally going to butcher this, I know, a Deus Machina. Oh, I totally butchered that, I know that. We don't want to make it so it's like, hey, whatever we want, we can pull it out of our butt and the magic can do that. No, we want to have limitations. So our hero is not going to be like, oh, she's got magic, she can do anything. No, there are limitations in play. Also, find limitations just in the universe in general. So, like, maybe future games down the road, if you're playing as other characters, what are limitations? I've implemented how people are getting the ability to use magic. Like, how is it tapped in? It is like a force that's just among you. So, like, you have all these different. It's just like magic. You tap into the magic, like force. I don't know really how to really truly just thing. It's just like magic's all around you. The big thing is the ability to tap into it and utilize it. No, that's really not it. I don't know. Each person is given the ability to use magic so much. Well, magic users are able to use magic only for so long, and like kind of like they've got a level. And once they've depleted it, they got to rest and kind of recharge, and then they can use it again. One example we were using was for teleportation. A person who specializes in the teleportation means is only able to do it like, I think we're figuring like 8-9 times during the day, and then they've been tapped out. Maybe like someone who's really good at it might be able to get 12 out of it. Like, that's it. Once you've used up your 12 for the day, or you don't give yourself enough resting time, you can't use it anymore. And will also explain why magic isn't considered a primary weapon in this universe, and why other things like in the past, why swords and axes and all the like type of medieval weapons really was heavily used back then, and why modern day, if there is fighting, it is using more not really magic based, but like energy based weapons. And then kind of explains now also why the villain is after this weapon our character has. Well, not weapon, this device, because this device doesn't have that cooldown period. It is tapping into magic naturally, and it's kind of unlimited. And if this device were to be fallen into the wrong hands, it could be utilized as a weapon, because at this point, hey, turn it on fireball and boom, we've got a fireball weapon, so, or an ice weapon, things like that. So it's considered a very powerful weapon, especially if it were to get in the wrong hands. So that's kind of where this is going, where it's like this is an unlimited a weapon, device that taps into magic that is unlimited, and that's why it's so sought after, or at least sought after by the main villain in our series. So yeah, these are things that I'm trying to flesh out, trying to explain things like why isn't there a lot of metal in this universe? Because I want to, when designing how I want this world to look, I want a very medieval meets medieval almost with neon. Medieval meets it's like medieval meets cyberpunk meets steampunk, pretty much. Have a merge of all of these different, like, primarily it was steampunk meet, not steampunk, cyberpunk meets medieval fantasy, and trying to explain. I really like a lot of the medieval architecture, and I'm like trying to figure like, okay, how do we kind of incorporate this stuff? We have an element where the world is still very connected with nature. So we see a lot of like cities built into these massive trees was one thing that we wanted to do. Have a world maybe possibly where something like that would exist. And we decided like, okay, well, the reason maybe that there isn't utilized a lot of metal in this world would be because metal, specifically metal that is magnetic, has a very negative effect on magic in this universe. So a lot of your steel, steel, iron, things like that would not be utilized a lot. Instead, they'd be, while you see magic users probably utilizing some metal, but it'd be metal that does not, like aluminum, which does not work well with magnets. So that was kind of the idea we're kind of playing around with, where explaining why we don't have these massive cities. Another idea was just the fact that, like, okay, we have massive cities, we got big things that probably fly in the sky too, so you don't want to go up too high. I mean, we'll have like these massive birds, probably dragons, maybe. We haven't really nailed down a lot of what type of creatures in this world yet. We like the idea of there still being a lot of wild monster type creatures, and trying to explain why these exist and haven't been exterminated is another thing we're trying to flesh out story wise. But as I said, we're trying to figure out why the world will look the way it is. I mean, we like the idea that electricity and technology does exist in this world, but at the same time, the world still has this very old-fashioned look to it, but also has some futuristic looks to it. So it's a weird give-take type thing, and we've got to find ways to explain why it's like this. We can't just say, hey, this is how it is, end of story. We want the fans to be really kind of embraced in this world, and so we're trying to figure out ways to explain it so you can be like, okay, yeah, I got that. I understand why you're doing it that way, and I'm on board. It doesn't make me stop and think like, what? Why? That's the big thing. We don't want people to ever stop and think, why is this like this? We just want it nice and fluid and be fun and entertaining. So, with that all said, that was a lot. Wow. Explaining a lot of stuff that's been going on story-wise. I'm looking really forward to probably just sitting down and probably writing out, not writing out, but maybe do some short videos explaining the universe just for the YouTube channel. But question would be finding time to do that. Anyway, let's see. I think that's about it. I mean, that's been a lot of stuff that's been going on lately. Lots and lots of world development stuff. I mean, character designs. I mean, I want to get back on doing the game development stuff, because I feel like the longer I let that sit, actually, it's probably good that we're letting it sit. We're letting it marinate. So when we get back into it, we can look at it kind of with almost fresh eyes when we're looking at the level design again, as we implement the new puzzle system, like pushing and pulling objects for doing puzzles and stuff, and just destructible items in general. Now that we've decided that we're gonna, instead of having, we're kind of going away from the idea originally where, depending on type of weapon you had, could do different type of damage to objects. So like if you had a fireball, it only worked on ice. You'd have to have water to destroy something else. We decided to get away from that, and now what we're having instead is like, okay, the fireball just destroys a certain type of blocks, period. Then you have the push-pull option, which allows you to move specific blocks left and right. And we're still trying to figure out other abilities. We wanted to do something with ice, but or freezing, but we haven't figured out how we could utilize that yet. So that one's still, that one's on the bench still, and we're still trying to think of a fourth option. So we're putting it's coming together slowly. We've changed gears, which is actually really cool. I mean, it's always great when we change gears in these things. I mean, the game's always evolving, and it's finding its best version, and yeah, it's just how we want to keep going. So, and oh, for long-time viewers, you'll notice that the background where our the stuff's happening in is slightly changed. I decided that since we were jumping from the from the NES era over to the N64 era, maybe we need the screen to kind of match that. Instead of having an old Apple II type screen, I've upgraded to an iMac screen, an original iMac screen, which I feel is more fitting. Still having some issues with the green screen, as you guys can tell. I'm still trying to figure out what... I feel like I need to add more lights down here. I think that's what's causing the problem, so I need to look into getting more additional lights for here, just to kind of help illuminate stuff and hopefully get rid of it. I mean, it's a lot less artifacting than it was before, but it's a work in progress. Okay, so with that all being said, it is time to switch gears and start getting back into the drawing. I really want to kind of, hopefully maybe trying to finish her up tonight and get her looking nice. So, yeah. It's funny, an iMac screen, but it is running Windows. So anyway, so we do have that. So let's actually bring our sprite sheet in. I'm going to grab this and drop that in here. We don't need the sketch version because, I mean, Purple Hair was totally not even how she is. So this was the most... Were we really doing blue and blue and blue like that? I don't remember. I feel like this is definitely accurate, but huh. Just gonna pop these in. Just because these are sprite colors, just want to have them in here. Close that down. So. The nice thing now is I can just do color. Voila! So where I left off previously was... delete that. Yeah, I don't need that one anymore. I was working on her eye because that was bugging me. See, face is always evolving. Felt like this was a little too. This design here. I mean, we were trying to go with a more turn off these. Hold on. So when I was designing her face, I got it down to this. I really liked it. My only downside was I was looking at it and it definitely felt more late 80s, early 90s style. It definitely had more of a Rama 1/2 feel to it, which is a personal one of my all-time favorite anime series, but it doesn't work for this game. So I kind of went back to the drawing board. I went crazy drawing this. Yeah, see, I was sketching. So I was working on her. I just had the color because I was trying to see how it looks. But I wound up actually looking at a lot more Dragon Ball Z stuff. Not Dragon Ball Z, sorry. Dragon Ball stuff. Wasn't even Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball stuff. To try to figure out, like, okay, like the head shape was still quite, oh, I want to bring this. I didn't need to copy that, but let's bring this over here. So, I mean, head shape is still pretty similar. You can't see my mouse. I was hoping you'd be able to see my mouse, but the head shape definitely still very similar still, which is, except this, the Rama 1/2 one definitely had more of a rounder, slightly rounder. This one is a little bit more pointy. The hair style is definitely changed up a little bit more. which was a big thing. I mean, that was a huge thing that I felt was definitely very off when it came to the different arrows. So I had to change. I changed it to hairstyle. It's still a little. I still feel it's a little bit too late '80s, early '90s. I'm probably going to try messing around with this a little bit more. It's better. It's a lot better than what it was. Like the pigtails, I might have to redo because I feel like these are still too modern. Oh, new for this one. The eyes, I had to really change quite a bit. You see, these are a lot more round. These are like upside down U's with a much flatter edge. Not so much eyeshadow around the eyes. Instead of having these two little highlights, it has only the one highlight. But I mean, these are things that I've noticed were very similar with Dragon Ball and some of the other anime from that time period. The nose is, well, this nose is very small, a little tiny piece. This one doesn't have a little bit more detail towards it. The ear was definitely different. This one was lower down. But I mean, it's all these little elements that I kind of got to go back and forth, looking at like, where is it changing? Like, how is the style evolving? And like I said, one thing is the biggest nightmare is just trying to not go with my comfort zone with design. When I learned to draw characters, I was heavily influenced with the '90s. I mean, I grew up with I pretty much my artistic styles was heavily influenced in the '90s. X-Men the animated series, Batman, Ranma One Half, Bubblegum Crisis, Ghost in the Shell. All these series were what heavily influenced my style, and having to deprogram myself and step back and not utilize, not just preventing myself from falling back into, hey, okay, well, I'm just drawing the way I like to draw. It's a big no-no for this, and it is a major pain. It's amazing. I never realized it was going to be so hard to kind of prevent myself from drawing my art style. So I have been heavily looking at a lot of like '70s, early '80s anime and manga just to kind of keep myself in that era. I look at some of those eras also in cartoons, like He-Man, Super Friends, but it's really not a style I ever fell into. I mean, honestly, with the exception of like He-Man and Masters Universe, I was really not a fan whatsoever of any '70s and '80s cartoons. The art style was really just bleh to me. I say with the actually one other exception would probably be Dungeons and Dragons. That was a great series. I really loved watching that one. I think that one fell in. My curiosity. Dungeons and Dragons animated series aired '83 through '85. Okay, so that it definitely falls in. It's one of those series. I did like that series growing up. Why am I not surprised? Oh, I'm gonna totally botch the name, but TOEI. So you guys know who I'm saying. Their animation studios, the ones who did Dungeons and Dragons. Why am I not surprised? That explains why I like that animation style. Maybe the same guys who did. Oh boy, get some of the things they did. I know they did. Doraemon was one they would do. Wow, they have a lot of anime. They did Dragon Ball. Why am I not surprised? Yeah, Transformers, Sailor Moon. Yep, I see it now. Yep, it does not surprise me. Cutie Honey. Yeah, a lot of the anime that I utilize as kind of my inspiration. Digimon, One Piece. Yeah, these are the art, all the series that I kind of, well, not all, but a huge majority of the series that I kind of utilize as kind of my inspiration for my art style. No wonder I like Dungeons and Dragons. But anyway, their art style, I mean, He-Man and Dungeons and Dragons are ones I do look at, but not heavily because it's not one I really aim towards style-wise. It's too American. I think is probably the best way. Even though it was created by an anime company, it's still very, I won't say just very American looking. I think it's really the only way I can kind of put it. And I am definitely more towards the anime look of stuff. I like having more anime looking characters. So yeah, anyway, I've been really focused a lot on looking at Dragon Ball lately. That's been kind of my big inspiration, was looking at Dragon Ball characters and just kind of looking at how those were designed. What else was I looking at? Was I looking at anything else? Still looking at some Studio Ghibli stuff from the era. Sadly, I couldn't look at Bubblegum Crisis because it was not in the right time frame. But anyway, so the big thing I've been fighting with is just making sure I'm able to keep the character looking like she's from the right era. And it is definitely a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I'm going to lighten up her hair a bit. Just so I can see the lines better. But yeah, so this is our hero, the way I've been designing her. So I was sketching out some stuff for the weapon, which I kind of want to keep working on. One thing I've want to, wow, I'm doing a lot of talking today. So the idea behind the way the weapon looks is that I want it to be designed as if it was designed for an adult hand, where it would be on one hand. It's a one-handed device for an adult, but because she is so small, I want to make it bigger. I want to have it so her hand it looks like a big weapon. So I mean, I'm gonna add a new layer for this. So let's work on this right now. So I mean, we have the basic design on what our gun looks like. Oh boy, I just realized we had sketches for a lot of this stuff too. I don't have any of that stuff anymore. It's a huge shame. Well, I'm going to bring this actually back in for a second. I'm actually going to grab one of these just so we can have it in here. Transform, scale. There we go. So, I mean, that's how the gun is supposed to look. Oops, I thought I was on that. So, kid's hand definitely. So like right here we have that little black piece here. So that's the one I'm drawing right now, is that piece there. I think it's gonna be kind of like maybe like a black rubber type thing.
And then we have the actual piece, which is going to be going around here. And remember, it's also a prototype device, so it's probably going to be more bulky than what it should be. Then we have like the little handle and so. If you're holding it, you're probably gonna. So I mean, an adult hand would be more like that. So maybe we're gonna shrink this down a little bit. It's getting harder to look already. Well, let's see. Yeah, I shouldn't be sketching in black. I should be doing like this in blue or something. But and we do need some place to kind of like where like this. I mean, while we don't see it here. See. Yeah, right now I'm just doing the rough sketch. We'll be fleshing this out a little bit more later as we get into this. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do something where I don't know, on the sides we'd have the stones. As I said, we're doing 4 stones. I definitely want to give this almost more of a like industrial look to it, just because the idea would be that it's being designed more as it was being designed as a tool initially, but then when he realized what it was turning into is when he decided that this might not be a good idea. But it was too late. Our villains somehow found out about the device. Who knows how? Always how it is. You never know how this information get leaked out. But it did. The nice thing is, you can actually do more detail in it on a drawing. you know, we can figure out things like are there to make these just kind of giving it an idea. Oops.
So just kind of like that idea where, okay, here we go. Those are the stones. This is the device itself. Um,
Maybe giving it like a right now. I'm just totally sketching it out. We're gonna work on a more final version of it later. I mean, we can even add some additional details. Like, who knows? Like, maybe these are actually like foam pieces.
I mean, the idea would be you're putting your hand into it, so it's gonna be like foam inside of it, things like that. There it is. So,
Oops, I just screwed up. Here.
but just kind of something like that, where okay, now we kind of better understand. It's definitely more mechanical looking, definitely more technology based looking than what we had before. I mean, the earlier designs was a lot smoother. Um, Definitely inspired more by the portal gun, if anything, which again, something we really don't want to do. We definitely need to be kind of looking at um, futuristic weapons from. Oh my goodness, how do you search for something like that? Futuristic weapons of the '80s. I'm curious. Let's look. Let's look that up. Do I actually get anything? Yeah, I wouldn't be able to make heads or tails if any of this stuff was actually from 80s stuff. Oh, weapons 80s. What do we get? We get lots of guns. That's not what I'm looking for. It's called sci-fi. Sci-fi weapons of the 80s. And we're still getting stuff that's not really 1980s. How about the 70s? Maybe the 70s might be a better option. Yeah, see, everything was looking very gunnish, which is, well, I mean, I'm looking weapons, so of course it's gonna look gunnish. What's that? What series is that from? Oh. So Space 1999, something I never watched. So has let me bring this down here. Can we bring this down here? So, hey, we got this right here. I mean, this is. I mean, it's got the grip. That's kind of what I was thinking. But it's gonna be sideways. So I mean, it's got definitely. See, I mean, the problem is it gets so much stuff to just. I mean, this here also, like, kind of holding it like that. So I mean, it's definitely kind of doing what I was thinking. It's just I have it more enclosed. So I mean, wait, that's Black Hole. Haha. This is from Black Hole, which is also from, but that's still pretty thing. Hans Blaster, which was something number one. Yeah, Space 1990. This thing is definitely okay. One thing I'm definitely looking right now. I got to get rid of the curves. The curves are going to have to go bye bye. I think. Other things could be looking up. Sci-fi tools. I mean, that's very. How do you look this stuff up? I mean, that's the problem. Without sitting down and watching hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of television, movies. Oh, I mean, that's helpful, but not helpful, but it's getting there. This is bringing me to a dead page. Oh, okay, here we go. This one worked. Yeah, not no, this is not what I want. Okay, well, anyway, that's another thing. We definitely got to make sure this has more of an 80s feel to it, and definitely the curviness to it is probably not what we want. Oh, are you joking? I drew that on top of that this whole entire time. Okay, well, let's cut this out. Oh boy, jeez, I can't believe I did that. It stinks too because I lost the original sketch I had done on here. Okay, so we do. There we go. Okay, so now we can actually try to redesign this again. So, okay, so we're definitely. Keep in mind, this is for an adult, so definitely going to be a lot wider than her hand. So, like, I'm trying to think, like, when my daughter holds stuff. That's another thing. It's going to definitely be bigger, too. Don't want it looking like a gun. Ooh, I have an idea. Oh, round this actually wouldn't be a problem, honestly. I'm thinking like some of the old I just saw like a picture of one of those old like 60s, 70s zappers. So, I mean, that would definitely be doable. Well, I got an idea. Bohemian Weapons. No, that doesn't really work. Those are too new. Let's see what. Bring this down here. So I'm looking at the He-Man weapons, and like the one that comes to mind is this crossbow one here. You guys cannot see my mouse. That sucks. It's kind of the closest thing. Yeah, look at. Well, I mean, that one also. I mean, it kind of works. That's the robot's alternative hand. So, I mean, if we want to. I still like the idea of having a protective guard here. Which I mean, kind of, you say that's kind of that protective guard. I mean, the plus side is because of it's just a sprite, we definitely get away with a lot more ideas. The problem is, it doesn't really work. That's the biggest problem. It's like, oh, why can I not find something that falls into what I want? mean, the biggest problem I have is I want something that fits on the hand, and I don't think that was something that was really done back then. See, this is kind of that fun aspect and pain in the butt aspect when it comes to developing this game, is being able to reference stuff from specific errors. The 80s is definitely one of the more harder ones to deal with. I mean, 70s, 80s. So definitely just trying to make sure I don't go too into the 80s. I need to stay a certain distance out of it. Which is a pain in the butt. Seriously. I mean, when was the Power Book came out? I'm not saying this game would have worked with it, but I'm also pretty sure that was definitely much further into the 80s. 89, yeah, so there's no way that would have even existed at this point. So hmm. I think maybe possibly doing something like with a boxing glove, but I don't think that's really gonna work either. Seriously, this is a pain in the tuchus. I mean, the like the big fake boxing gloves existed early on, but the thing is, I really can't utilize that. Oh. Let me erase this again. Just do this. This is not being helpful. It's like I'm really trying to look up like even 80s weapons. It's like something I could maybe see. Okay, well, did this come out late enough, or maybe at least give me something to base it on? Now, I mean, the big thing I would definitely want to take into consideration is the fact that I don't want it looking like a gun. That's a big thing because we were dealing with an era like in the 80s. We had a lot of issues with toy guns, and so avoiding this thing looking like a gun would be an important thing. When did the real Ghostbusters come out? Real Ghostbusters 86. Nope, that's too far out. Okay. Transformers? Do you have any ideas? Even then, I gotta be careful with Transformers because they span too far. Well, I think it's getting to the point where our best bet is just to create something that just doesn't look like anything from the time. And one thing that is pretty obvious, based on looking stuff, a lot of flat, straight edges. So
That's definitely gonna be the hand thing back in. Honestly, this thing should be bigger because it's designed for an adult's hand.
as I said, straight edges is going to be the key thing on this one because it's the 80s and straight edges is kind of the thing. Sadly, as much as I want this thing round and curvy, I mean we do see some of that type of stuff in early 70s sci-fi, like Buck Rogers, things like that. But we're in the 80s, and based on things that I'm seeing, based on like He-Man action figures, Transformer action figures. I didn't even bother looking at GI Joe honestly, but it's a lot of straight lines. It's very, just very straight. So this down here a bit. Now we're getting way too big right there, but remembering this is for an adult, so 1980s power tools. Maybe that could give us an inspiration. Hmm. It's really not like a drill or anything either. You know what? I got a better idea. So, yeah. Erase this all again. Again. So looking at 1980s power tools is kind of giving me a little inspiration. So I'm thinking more power drill-ish looking than what I originally was designing. Definitely feel like it kind of fits in a little bit better now. I mean,
It's not 100% what I want, but we're getting there. key thing now is just making sure it looks more like a tool than a gun. So even though she's holding it one-handed, I mean, in the game it's supposed to look like she's holding it with two hands. So
Yeah, I definitely feel like, well, maybe with my closer to me. So, yeah, I think going with a 1980s power tool look might be the better option at this point. Okay.
Oh my goodness, I totally botched that. Anything, it should be going this way.
Ah, boy, this is...
Restrictions, restrictions. Why did I put myself in such tough spot with restrictions? So what an awesome game that is very unique. That is why. Driving me nuts.
I mean, I gotta stay within a certain look for it because I want to match some with the design. But, jeez. Why is this gotta be so hard? This is. I feel like the power tool option is probably the best course of action. Oh my goodness, it is hard.
Mm. Other options also to make her hand a little smaller. That could help too. Seriously, let's see.
Ah, why can't it just be simple?
uh, hold on, I feel like I'm doing the arm wrong. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, you know what's really bugging me? These things. Sheesh. Oh my goodness, if this turned out to be easier this way, I'm going to freak. Why is it top? Do that. Ah, oh, actually, that works.
Oh wow. Okay, well now we kind of got a better idea. Oh man. Oh boy. Holy crap. We are spending so much time just trying to create this damn gun for her. But we are a giant step closer right now than we were earlier. See, now this spot here should probably come out a bit more.
We're getting there now. Definitely getting close to what. I feel like we're getting a little too far out. I mean, we're trying to get that power tool feel to it, but also making it so it fits an adult size. Now we got like an 80s camcorder going. Jeez. I feel like actually should be. Actually, that's actually starting to come out somewhat like an actual power tool at this point. I hate the position of some of these buttons. So at one point we had these cool like little slants going on in the weapon, and we got rid of that, which kind of stinks.
Oh boy.
Strangely enough, it's just like I feel like this is actually more reversed than what it should be. It should be like flipped. Okay, this is starting to come together finally. Sounds like the rain's really coming down outside right now. There we go. It's still coming. Okay, this is definitely slowly turning into more of what I was thinking of. Really wish I started off earlier with grabbing the outline and working from that. Working kind of not really backwards, I guess. That doesn't look right, but okay, let's see.
That is definitely looking a lot better. Wow. Okay. So, I mean, that going into that, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you're an NES game, you have extremely limited capability. Doing that type of jump, I think, works. So, I mean,
still trying to put everything together on this thing. My lines aren't the straightest, and the reason I'm not using like something like Illustrator for this is one,
not a big fan of Illustrator personally. It's I've never been able to work with Illustrator the way it should be. That being said, I mean, I've worked with Illustrator, so I'm not saying I don't know how to use it. I just don't like using it. I was always more of a fan of freehand, if you know what that program was. Most of you probably don't. Well, one of my favorite programs for doing drawing was Flash, but which I could be using right now for doing this stuff. But to get back to the reason why I'm doing everything like this more is I want that freehand look to it, because if you ever looked at illustrations from early NES games, they were all hand drawn. So I want to keep that hand drawn look to it. So that's why I'm kind of going with the freestyle aspect of it.
It'll help give it that look. And later on, if I want to redraw it,
Give it more of that
give it a much more like blueprint look, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it. If I would give it more of that aesthetic, to look more real, I can always go back and do that. Who knows, maybe I'll go around later on and make like a CAD drawing or something. Well, maybe not CAD itself, but actually like digital. Yes, I know I'm holding down the key. Yeesh. Oops. Hitting that key all the time. Okay. Okay, so we definitely got that look coming along. Now, one thing I just realized.
Nah, never mind. I figured out this item is like I was trying to figure out. We made the whole entire rule about um, metal not being a good conductor for magic and how that the magnetic, uh, it being magnetic is what screws up magic and everything. But I just realized that this could be either made out of aluminum, which I mean is easy to work with, a lot more than steel or something. So problem solved.
You could have.
You know what? Hey, that's annoying. Jeez.
Well, like. Put a little black spot there. A little black spot there. Indicating that's where it's. Let's erase these. Yeah, it's kind of giving it that look as if like it's bolts kind of holding it down.
Okay, so we're getting that nice. It's definitely getting that mechanical feel to it, like it is a prototype.
mean, if I want to, just for fun, is that purely for fun? Oh, you probably should color that piece in too. But there, now we kind of got something that looks like a tool. It looks like it'd be something that someone would be using to work with, and it looks like a prototype too. So. I want to bet you do this. Kind of a this way now it kind of looks like that's like a finger or something holding the thing. Trying to figure out this thing a bit more. So could be like this part here flips up, and that's where all the stones go, and it clicks down. Figuring out how it works now. for for fictional items, it's kind of cool trying to picture in your head how something like this would work. I really like how this has actually turned out. I mean, we went through a lot to get to this point. I mean, holy cow, geez, the amount of revisions we did was crazy. Oops. This is looking good. I'm liking this. Ah.
How did I turn this off? Turn off my stupid sticky keys. There we go.
So, that's going to. Yeah, now I gotta add some bolts to this thing. Right now, it's running a very few bolts. Let's erase this. And I'm just going to erase the extra blue here.
Wow, that is looking sweet. Yeah, wow, that actually looks really, really, really good. Okay, I think I'm going to take a break on this for a little bit. Let it set, let it rest. Oh, I did put a mask on her originally. I didn't even do that here. uh, She's not that late. I'm surprised she's checking in. Wife's wondering if I'm still alive. Okay, one thing. Yeah, I forgot. We added. She has a mask in the game. I don't know why we did that. I don't know. I mean, do we want to keep the mask? I don't know. I'm questioning this now. I mean, there's supposed to be the whole secret identity thing, but there really is no need for it. I think I. Curiosity. I just want to play around with this. Oh wow. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Okay. What if we do something like? We fill it in with. I don't like that. That looks terrible. I mean, just do that. I mean, gives her eye color, which is kind of cool. But nice, you gave her blue eyes instead of brown. Which, I mean, that's all fine. I mean, technically, she has black hair here, too. So, I don't know if I, yeah, as I said, her hair is supposed to be black, honestly. So, I mean, that's more accurate for based on her color scheme, what she should look like. So, I mean, that's what she's based on the color scheme, and that's what she's gonna look like. And that's also if we give her the mask. I mean, we keep the mask on. Her eye color could be anything, but I don't know. I guess blue works. Black hair, blue eyes. And yeah, I mean, I don't really have a problem with that. I like, I think that could work. Like I said, originally her eyes were supposed to be I was going with hazel, but you know. So the whole mask thing doesn't make sense anymore. Now, later down the road, if we want to incorporate the mask idea, like if we decide her path, see, this is another thing. It's like in this world, I mean, we deal with monster hunting already. It exists. Like going out into the wilderness, attacking, killing monsters exists in this world. At least that's kind of the plan right now. So, would there be a reason to wear a mask? I mean, I don't think so. I can't think of a reason for you to wear a mask unless you're a bad guy type thing. So, something to think about. Yeah, no, I mean, it's an important thing right now, actually. Thinking about this, it's just like, we had no reason. I mean, originally the whole reason is that she was supposed to kind of be hiding her identity, playing superhero to save her father type thing, and then eventually she was going to continue on this path of always being like this hero wearing the mask. But I don't know how that works in this universe. I mean, wearing a mask, would they consider you a criminal more? I mean, I don't know. This is a very interesting thing to think about now, because I mean, thinking about this logically, just kind of thinking about this. Okay, they kidnap her father. She goes to rescue her father. Unless these bad guys are really stupid, and I mean super stupid, they wouldn't put out like, oh, this little tiny girl's coming to rescue this man. You know, this guy had a daughter, 2 and 2 together type thing. So, I mean, the whole idea of her trying to conceal her identity really doesn't make sense. At least here. I mean, and then maybe later down the road, I mean, the idea of her hiding her identity, like trying to live a normal life type thing. I mean, very like, um, I think like a Macross where like they kind of had like the dual identity thing, and I believe, oh man, why am I spacing if Bubblegum Crisis did this or not too? I'm pretty sure Pris had a separate 2 different identities. When she was singing, she had one identity. When she was fighting, she looked completely different. From my memory, it's been a long time, sadly, since I last watched Bubblegum Crisis, the original. I always go for 2040. That's the one I always watch, so that's what I'm trying to remember. But I don't know. I mean, this is a good question. Would, at least with this one, the first game, I can see her not wearing a mask. There's no point in it. She's off to rescue her father, plain and simple. She's not going to put a mask on. It makes no sense. And we don't even know what the superhero, like, what are superheroes like in this universe? Are there superheroes? When you read stories of fictitious hero characters, are they wearing masks? Or do they have secret identities? Are secret identities even considered a thing in this world, or does no one even think about it? I mean, her being somebody who fights, if she decides to go down the path of becoming a monster hunter, I mean, that could be a profession in this world. We don't know. I haven't developed that area yet. I mean, that's something that really, this is why putting together a world Bible about your universe is very important, because questions like these need to get answered, and you need to have, like, honestly, you need to have reasons for this to happen. If she's the only character in this universe that wears a mask to fight bad guys, that might not be normal. It might be very weird. So, need to figure this out. But for now, I think I'm going to scrap the mask, at least for the NES game. I think we're going to go through, we're going to redo the sprites for her character again, removing the mask, because I just don't see a reason for it at all. So, and we're going to incorporate that eye effect just because it makes it works. It just looks a little bit better. So, okay, one thing that's been bugging the heck out of me is her eyes right now. So I'm going to turn that off, and where is that eye? So her eyes have been driving me bonkers. So I'm actually going to take these out. Because I think my problem is I think I have they're not proportionate. Well, what's the word I want to say? They're not proportionate to each other. So let's, I'm not on the right layer. Now let's create a new layer, just so we can kind of work with the eyes a bit more. We'll try messing with this eye first. Oops. Just a second. Oops.
Adjust the inner piece of the eye. Yeah, I am coloring in where I shouldn't really be coloring in. Not going super detailed based on these eyes, just going to get the basics down. I just realized I totally forgot something. I'm a dum-dum. So when I did that, shoot, go back. Okay, at least I salvaged that. Jeez. Oops, that was, yeah, screw it. Take the eraser. Seriously, why do you do that to me? Okay. That honestly looks so much better than the previous ones. Maybe. Hold on. I'm gonna. Maybe if I just move this one up a bit. Oh my goodness, that did make a world of difference. I could go with either version, though I feel like this one might be a little bit too modern. I need to ask for feedback from you guys on this one. I feel like this one definitely has more of a Dragon Ball feel to it, and this one definitely has a different anime style feel. Whew, I think I'm gonna want to posting both these up on Instagram and see what you guys think, because I'm torn. I like both of them. I think they both look really good. So I'm not sure which way I'm gonna go. Let's start going through here and just kind of cleaning up stuff a bit more. Gotta make those elastics look better. Need to look at some 80s scrunchies, see how those things looked. To sharpen up some of these colors. I don't know how I wanted eyebrows yet. I gotta look at some more examples of how eyebrows were done. I mean, were they going over the hair at this point in time, or were they still under the hair? I know that was a thing.
Hoi.
That's fine. Just clean this up a bit. And this will be kind of the last thing we do tonight. Just kind of clean up this hair. This was a fun evening. Definitely like doing these drawing episodes a lot. They're a lot of fun. I gotta admit, I have not done much drawing in years, and oh my goodness, being able to hang out and do this is so much fun. I miss doing this. I miss doing this a lot, honestly. Okay. Put the hair back on. It's totally messy now, but it's filling some of the spots in the hair. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. Clean some of this up too. It actually makes a little sense now, a little more sense to actually overlay the skin tone a little bit, because when I'm erasing stuff here, you don't want to have white spots. I've got a lot of excess stuff here. Okay, hold on. This whole entire section here should be brown. I said earlier, this is another section that needs to get kind of touched up because I gotta make sure the hair matches this error. If it doesn't, I need to just redo it completely. Can't have hair out of. That's right. Cannot have hair that's non-80s. Well, a little kid's hair is pretty much pretty universal. There are things like the scrunchy situation is something I gotta look into. Like, how did scrunchies look? Am I doing scrunchies fine? Little things like that. Little things that will drive you mad.
Okay. So this got some hair. Hair's at least in place. The eyes. I'm liking the eyes more and more. You know, either or, really. I can go with either design. I like them both. I just feel, though, this, I think, might match up the correct era a bit more. So. No. You sneaky little guy. Yeah, so I can't really decide which one I like right now. They both definitely have the right feel. I just feel like this one, as much as I like this one, I feel like it's too recent. I think this one is more late 80s than it is early 80s, which I think this one fits more in the early 80s. Okay, well, with that being said, what time is it? Well, we're at 1:30 in the morning, and we've been going good for 3 hours, so cool. That's awesome. I like these long shows. They're great. It gets lots of work done, but it's 1:30. I need to punch out. So, with that being said, let's switch back over here. There we go. I like the iMac look. Maybe a little tweaking still. Definitely lose all the animation in the background, which is kind of a bummer. But I like it. I mean, it looks nice. That. Let's move over that a bit. There we go. So yeah, I like how she's turning out. She's looking good. This definitely feels like the character I initially designed. Yeah, and let's see. I definitely agree. I think the mask thing is probably a mistake. I think we're definitely getting rid of it. It's going to be the smart thing to do. So we'll have to go back, update the sprite to get rid of the mask. But I think it makes more sense with her not having the mask than her having the mask. Yeah, and as I said, I think I'll post probably on Instagram the two different eye sets. See what you guys think. Which one you guys like more. Figure out how to do those poll systems. I have no idea how that works. Instagram address is on at the end of the show. I believe it's Medaverse Studio, or it could just be Medaverse. I am not sure. It's been a while. I think it's Medaverse Studio, but it's on at the end of the show, and they're in the credits. So you can guys go over there, figure out, vote which one you guys like more. It'll help. As I said, it's really a toss-up, but I feel right now like this one might be the more closer to the early 80s look that we're looking for, not the late 80s, early 90s that the other one has. But I think the gun definitely fits better now. The original smoother design, as much as I loved it, as much as I felt that it really worked, the problem I had with it though is definitely did not feel 80s. This also, I mean, it also didn't feel prototype. Finished like it looked more like it was finished. This looks like a prototype. This looks like what you'd find underneath the shell. So I like where this is going. Might do a couple more tweaks on that. For now, I like the way it is. The coloring is definitely not final, but I just kind of wanted to match it up to, minus the dark blue. I just went with the black instead. But I think it looks good. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for hanging out tonight. It's been great. We made lots of good progress, and this is coming together nicely. I definitely think everything for Project Artificial Legacy is falling into place nicely. Definitely need to find some time to do some little short videos describing and talking about the world on YouTube, and just kind of breaking down more elements about the game and the universe. I mean, this is a world that I'm putting a lot of everyone does this. I mean, everyone's going to say they put a lot of love into it, but I definitely put a lot of love into everything I've been developing. I'm putting a lot of time and effort. I'm not just throwing something together. I'm definitely really thinking it out and just making sure all the pieces fit really well. But with that being said, guys, thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. It's been great, and I look forward to seeing you guys all next week. So long. Take care.